What if I told you there's a hidden system that controls nearly every aspect of your life, from the price you pay at the pump to the policies your government enforces? And no, it's not the stock market or the banking system. It's something even more powerful, the petrodollar. For over half a century, it's been the silent ruler of the global economy. Let me show you how. What is the petrodollar? To understand the petrodollar, we first need to dive into why oil is so vital. Oil isn't just fuel for cars, planes, and ships, it's the lifeblood of modern civilization. We use it to power industries, make plastics, and even generate electricity. From fertilizers to chemicals, oil touches nearly every product we rely on. Our world is built on oil, and because of this, nations across the globe are constantly trading it. But here's the twist. How did the US dollar become the currency for this vast oil market? The birth of the US dollar's power. It all starts in the wake of World War II. As Europe lay in ruins and the rest of the world struggled to rebuild, the United States emerged as the sole superpower, with its economy and manufacturing sector intact. In 1944, the world agreed to base the new global financial system on the US dollar at the Bretton Woods Conference. The US promised that its dollars could be exchanged for gold, making the dollar the central currency of global trade. But in 1971, President Nixon shocked the world. The US abandoned the gold standard, transitioning to a fiat currency system. Now, the value of the dollar wasn't tied to gold, but to the economic power and stability of the US. The OPEC crisis and the petrodollar system. In 1973, the OPEC oil crisis turned the world upside down. Arab oil-producing nations launched an embargo, refusing to sell oil to countries supporting Israel during the Yom Kippur War. Oil prices quadrupled, leading to widespread shortages and soaring inflation in the West. In response, the US struck a historic deal with Saudi Arabia, the world's largest oil producer. Saudi Arabia agreed to sell its oil exclusively in US dollars in exchange for military protection and support. Other oil-producing countries quickly followed, and that's when the petrodollar system was born. The global demand for dollars. Now, imagine you're a country like Japan. You don't produce much oil, but your economy is heavily dependent on it. To get oil, you need US dollars. That means you need to either trade with the US or hold US assets. This creates constant global demand for US dollars. And that demand gives the US some powerful advantages. It keeps the dollar strong, because everyone needs it. It allows the US to borrow money more easily, and at lower interest rates. The US can use sanctions to influence other countries, as so many global transactions flow through US banks. Petrodollar recycling, a never-ending loop. But what happens to all that oil money flowing into oil-producing countries? They don't just keep piles of cash, they invest it. This is known as petrodollar recycling. They buy US government bonds, invest in American companies, and even purchase US real estate. It's a cyclical system that keeps the dollars flowing back into the US financial system, reinforcing the dollar's dominance. What's next for the petrodollar system? In recent years, countries like Russia, Venezuela, India, and Pakistan have tried to break free from the petrodollar system. The BRICS alliance, a coalition of emerging economies, is pushing to reduce global reliance on the dollar by trading oil in currencies like the yuan or the euro. But here's the catch: switching away from the petrodollar isn't as easy as it sounds. If a country suddenly decides to trade oil in another currency, they're not just changing payment methods. They're disrupting contracts, hedging systems, pricing models, and insurance. The US dollar offers liquidity and legal protection that no other currency can match, like when Facebook tried to replace Twitter with Threads. You can't just get everyone to switch overnight. Russia, China, and the gradual shift. Countries like Russia and China are slowly reducing their reliance on the dollar. Russia, for example, has increased its oil trade with China, settled some transactions in rubles, and decreased its holdings of US Treasury bonds. Meanwhile, China is promoting oil contracts in the yuan and encouraging trade settlements in its own currency. But don't be fooled. This isn't a revolution against the dollar, it's a gradual shift. Countries are using the dollar when it's efficient, but avoiding it when political pressure mounts. The future of the dollar. Will the petrodollar system eventually fall? Maybe, but it's not going to happen easily. As China and Russia move away from the dollar, they're also increasing their influence in the global financial markets, especially in the gold market, which could destabilize the dollar's dominance even further. If you want to know more about how China is leveraging gold to challenge the US dollar, check out our video here. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching.